let's study what is a factor theorem. We have studied a remainder theorem, and factor theorem is a special case of the remainder theorem. Let's recall the remainder theorem. Suppose I am dividing f of x by x minus a. Then, as per the rule, f of x I can write divisor multiplied by some quotient plus a remainder. But by remainder theorem, this remainder r is nothing but what? F of a. Now, in this case, as I said, factor theorem is a special case of the remainder theorem. So, if I make f of a equal to 0, this I am making what? 0. What will happen? I will get f of x is equal to just x minus a multiplied by q of x. Means there is no remainder. That's why x minus a is a perfect factor of what? F of x. Means f of x is perfectly divisible by what? X minus a. So x minus a divides f of x completely when the remainder becomes what? 0. This is essentially the factor theorem. So in a remainder theorem, if the remainder becomes 0, then by which we are dividing the polynomial f of x, x minus a, that x minus a is a factor of f of x, which is called what? A factor theorem. So simply by putting x is equal to a in the polynomial f of x, if f of a is becoming 0, then we say that x minus a, take this a on this side. So x minus a is a factor of what? F of x is equal to 0. There could be more factors of this, but at least x minus a is one of the factors of f of x is equal to 0. F of x, sorry. So let's take one example on the factor theorem. So factor theorem, essentially I said it is a remainder theorem, only the remainder becomes 0 and x minus a is one of the factors of f of x. This is called what? Remainder theorem. Now let's see one example. Find a and b if x square minus 1 is a factor of the polynomial 2x raised to 4 plus x cube minus ax square plus bx plus 2a plus b minus 1. So how to find a and b? Whenever x square minus 1 is a factor of this expression. Now I say that x minus 1 is a factor of f of x. So equate x minus a equal to 0, x equal to a. Then by putting x equal to a in f of x, f of a becomes 0. That is a factor theorem. So here x square minus 1 is a factor of this. Let's equate x square minus 1 to 0. What I am getting? X square equal to 1 means I am getting x equal to either plus 1 or what? Minus 1. Now if I put x equal to 1 directly in this expression, the value of this expression should become 0 by what? Factor theorem. Similarly, if I put x equal to minus 1 in this expression, again the value of this will become 0 by what? Factor theorem. So if I solve the next two equations simultaneously for a and b, I get the values of what? A and b. So let us put one by one x equal to 1 and x equal to minus 1 in that and equate that to what? 0 because of what? Factor theorem. So I am replacing x by 1 in this. So I get 2 plus 1 minus a plus b plus 2a plus b minus 1. This is nothing but what? 0 because of factor theorem. By putting x equal to 1, I am getting the remainder, and because it is a factor, by factor theorem it has to be 0. Now this 1 is getting cancelled. This 2a minus a is a, b plus b is 2b, and this 2 constant I am transferring on opposite sides. So a plus 2b equal to minus 2 I am getting. Similarly, let me put x equal to minus 1 in that. So the value of the whole expression will become what? 0. So 2 into minus 1 raised to 4 is what? 2. I am putting x equal to minus 1 in this. Minus 1 cube is minus 1. Minus 1 square is plus 1. So this is minus a. B into minus 1 is minus b. Plus next 2a plus b minus 1. That has to be equal to what? 0. Now here 2 minus 1 is 1 and 1 minus 1 is 0. So all these constants are getting cancelled. Now what left? This minus b is also getting cancelled. So 2a minus a is simply a, and that has to be equated to what? 0. So the value of a becomes 0. Now if I put a equal to 0 here, I get 2b equal to minus 2, means b is minus 1. So the values of a and b we obtained as 0 and minus 1 using factor theorem. So factor theorem is essentially, suppose x minus a is factor of certain expression f of x, then I will equate this to 0. So x becomes what? A. If I put x equal to a over here, I get f of a is also 0. Or by putting x equal to a, if f of x becomes 0, then x minus that a is nothing but what? Factor of this. This is essentially what is a factor theorem.